So we bring to you something you'll be interested, and it is tax filing of presidential candidates. So Harris versus Trump. So we want to talk to you about how their personal tax is all about. Obviously, we don't have the Trump's personal tax return for 2023, but we have Harris for 2023. And the Ways and Means Committee also have publicized Trump's tax return from 2015 to 2020, the last year of his presidency. So we will be looking at that last year's tax return. So let's get going. And this is our website. And on here, you should see we have this onboarding with us button, that blue button. That one, if you click, you can upload your information even without talking to us, without becoming our client yet. You can upload, and then our folks will come back to you, and then you can actually write a note there saying what you'd like us to do. So this is where our clients, our business owners are busy. And the time you want to talk to us is also when you are really busy. So at night, on the weekend, you felt like, oh, I have time. I have all of these documents need to give to the accountant to file 2023 extended tax return. It's due in about 10 days. Then you do that first. So you can upload, then we will contact you right away. We have our professional staff on that portal day in, day out to make sure we capture all of your new information. You can also click the appointment button and right here and to make appointment with the partners. So we only listed the partners here. So you can choose our time from here and make the consultation payment, then you have our time. And of course, the other buttons are also very useful, but they are more for our clients, right? So pay invoice for a client to support us. And also client portal, that is the portal to look at all of your documentation. And the payroll portal is where you upload your payroll information. So that is our technology in the Zoom view. So you can literally come to us and know that what we are, and this is our website. Of course, with our YouTube channel, this is also something that we have been consistently putting in our knowledge, putting in our videos in this channel. We're not a huge social media people, and I wouldn't call ourselves as a firm really social media guru, but what we do good is on the YouTube channel. We give all of our knowledge here. So I knew you will be interested in this information, then that's what we bring to you. So just like today, and this is election time, we are a month to go, right? November 5th is the voting day, is the deadline for give you vote out if you are a citizen of this country, and then you cast your vote. But before you cast your vote, don't you want to know how the candidate filed their taxes? And I mean, we are accountants for taxes, so it is so interesting for us to look at the tax return. Sometimes when we look at the tax return, we go, oh, wow, you know, they could do a little better, different. So there's a tax strategy comes in when you look at the tax return, but it is not a strategy session, and neither of them are our clients. So what we are here doing is just bringing to you the public information, then we can give you our opinions, and we go from there. All right, let's do our let's get going with our webinars. I'm so excited to bring that to you. Tax filings of presidential candidate. Of course, we always the first 3 slides is our tattoo. You can't get away from that. We talk about how our firm is. So we have 12,000 clients. I keep on forgetting to correct that number. And that was about 3 years ago. It was like that. And so 12,000 clients worldwide, and collectively in our firm and our professional staff, we speak 10 different languages. So maybe that tells you that we don't need privacy, right? We can just speak our own language in the different languages in the office. No one knows what we're talking about. But we obviously, with our client, the language variety is really just for our clients. And in our firm, and we require our staff to speak English with each other. One way to help them to overcome their English barriers, if they have any. The other things is that to make sure our professional development is on English language, is for the content of the USA, and so that way we can become one of the best firm in the country, right? So everything we do is with a vision and a purpose, and so the firm is running for 27 years. Starting from 1998, so we do have a history, and we have 5 branches right now, located in 3 different states. So Houston, Texas is the newest one we established this year. So we already have staff working there every day. The office is open, but it's still needing a lot of development. So we welcome anyone. If you hear us on the webinar and refer clients in Houston, Texas, or surrounding area to our firm, we welcome new clients so urgently in Texas area. And I myself, I serve as CEO and managing partner for Community CPA. I also have done 3 years National Taxpayer Advocacy Panel kind of work, which is Federal Advisory Committee that provide advisory to IRS. So that gives you a little in-depth thinking about, oh yeah, Ying practiced for that many years, but also had an experience directly working with the IRS. That is a positive. Yes, that's true. I wrote 2 books, right? 2 books that's already on Amazon. I do have, when I wrote my 8 a.m., I referenced to 3 people's in this book. And so with time, this was written, the 8 a.m. was written in 2019. A lot has changed. So I am actually now have an idea, have a thinking that to redo my 8 a.m. and to get rid of certain content, I no longer think it was true and correct, because I referenced to people, I guess, well-known people in our society, to reference their character, their business practice, to give advices to the small businesses that in my circle, right? So knowledge grows and the situation changes. So I have that need to go back to visit 8 a.m. And what about 10 a.m.? I have that same need. And I'm writing 2 p.m. So with that, I will, maybe my 2 p.m., I'm thinking to reshape that into a very focused on just my clientele, rather than reference anybody fictionally, and I don't, feels like I know, but actually I don't know, right? So you know exactly what I'm talking about. To a lot of ways, there are media outlet just making their job as constant lying. They just are not. They are so articulately lying, and they don't tell you the truth, or they tell you 1/3 of the truth plus some peppers and other ingredients, and you can't even recognize what was the original meaning. So I want to kind of stay away from that within my book. So my followers who read my book will read truth, nothing but truth. That's what I want in the book. But the stories I have in the book, anything refers to my story or my client's story, obviously those are the first-hand stories. There is no middleman to manipulate that, so it's a trustworthy story. But anything I drew online, I reference to, to the business gurus, and, those can change. I remember I was writing the second book where I said that to grow your business, you need to have a peace in the family. So you can't be filing divorce while you are growing your business. So I referenced that in my first draft. I actually referenced that to Bill Gates, because at that time he wasn't divorced yet. And I almost finished my 10 a.m. book, and then the news pops out saying that he got divorced, and I have to rewrite that whole chapter. So that tells you that so it's not very reliable. But, for writing books, if you want some input from a person who doesn't even speak English properly, but anyway wrote 2 books, that's me, and you can call me, and I'll give you my 2 cents how you do it, right? And no responsibility disclaimer, this is as always, and it is really our opinion here, my opinion here. So I hope you agree with me and you give me a thumb up, but if you don't, really is okay, and we're just so all entitled to different opinions. Okay, let's talk about presidential candidates' taxes. So obviously tax return is a private information, but there is a public interest to see the transparency and to gain the public trust for the candidates who wants to be our leader, to expose themselves of how they conduct their personal finance, right? So so let's take a look at the it's not a law. It is not something that they have to do, but it's something that needed to be done. So the importance of tax return disclosure. Tax return disclosure is a critical aspect of transparency of public officials. It allows the public to supervise and see how their leaders manage their finance and ensure that there are no conflicts of interest. So what is conflict of interest? So let's say if I am ambassador of Ukraine, and then I ended up with a lot of investment interest coming, investment interest and income coming to my tax return from Ukraine. That's a conflict of interest, right? Building public trust. When leaders are open about their income tax, charitable donation, it fosters that sense of integrity and honesty. Don't we think so? I think so. I really think so. And when I judge politicians, I'll tell you that in our firm, we work with some politicians' tax return. And I'll tell you that when I work through that tax return, knowing how this person conduct his personal financial affairs, and I gain so much respect for those. I'm not saying that you cannot make money. Politician and the ordinary citizen, we all want to make money. But you can tell whether the resource of money was coming from accurate accounting and a dedicated commitment to pay what need to pay, or it's coming from a big huge write-off and the benefits that coming from special interest group. You can tell about that. I will proudly assure you that the politicians I know and our firm doing their taxes are such good people. They're good citizens, they're role model, and they are the ones can be held into presidential candidate list, can become the president of the United States. I would not understate that. They should, they can, and they just have their moment, their timing. Maybe it is not the right timing, but I will say that it is important to build that public trust. As accountant, we understand taxes. Harris' commitment. Kamala actually said he wants to give his 20 years record of tax return. That shows the commitment of open door, shows the commitment of transparency. That impacts the public perception, shows that the leader have nothing to hide. So important. Setting these kind of precedent, to show your tax return in such fashion that encourage the public officials to follow. If you are a president, you open your finance, then others who work with you, around you, in the cabinet, and they will do the same. Let's look at Harris' tax return. So one of the things, you look at somebody, a big figure like Harris, like, like our Vice President Harris's tax return, and that drews a lot of eyeballs. I know you are here, zoomed in, wanting to see what is that. So she said transparency is critical to ensuring accountability and building public trust. As a public servant, and she regards herself as a servant, we must be open and honest about our actions and the decisions. Don't you think Supreme Court judges should do that too? Absolutely. And they are public servant. And as a public servant, and I always say that that is the honor, at the same time is an obligation, what you need to do. So 2023 tax filing for Vice President. So she filed taxes jointly with her husband in 2023. Their total AGI is $450,299. So this is the breakdown of where their money coming from. So salary as a vice president for Harris, that's $235,100. So some of you probably just sit here goes, oh, that's not a lot. It's not even as much as my own salary with who and the small company. Absolutely. So it's a regular salary. And the book royalty from sales, these are the money, the royalty payment for selling the books that the author wrote. So I don't know what exactly the books, but looks like there's several royalties amounted to $50,000 in the year. Investment including dividends and capital gains, $30,000. So investment, this is where the public officials can easily have conflict of interest. So if they are, if they are buying stocks and then selling it at the right time, they rip into a lot of gains. That is where the question could come, right? So that's the investment. $30,000, if you ask me, I have 12,000 clients, and you ask me, Ying, is that $30,000 is normal, is just normal, or super normal, or not normal at all? I will just say that it is more than normal. 30,000 capital gain, 30,000 dividend, happens every day, day in, day out. So I don't see that to be a big red flag. And the speaking engagement, 20,000. So when they speak, they pay. And sometimes when I speak, people pay. And that's called the speaking engagement. Other income, 115,199. These are other income. It's not the speaking engagement, not investment, not book royalty. Then you may say that, oh, what could that be in other income? It could be other business income, for example, the K1s and the things like that. So there's a positive number, 115. Now, the total 115, the tax payment for 2023, the total they paid for tax payment is 115,000. The federal taxes was 88,000. The state tax was right there, 15,167 in California. And progressive tax system, it just means that it's go by their income level. California didn't have a flat rate. And it paid $11,599 in state income tax to District of Columbia. So that's where that income come from. So the state taxes are sort of, recognize where the sources are coming from. So if it is coming from different state, different jurisdiction, then you need to report that area's income tax. That's why, in our firm, we have clients with literally 30 other states need to file because they have businesses in 30 other states. So that is where the state income tax come from. And then more, we look at charitable contribution because as a public servant, and we somewhat expected to see contribution for charity purposes. So Harris reported a total of 23,000 in charitable donation in 2023. And the type of donation also got broken down because 23,000 could be a used car donation, has a market value for 23, so that would become what we call the non-cash, right? So she has a majority of her donation is actually cash donation. That means she wrote a check and she made a payment out of her after-tax money, she donated it. And the notable donations, and the education institution is significant portion of the Mr. Harris and the Vice President's donation. So example would be the 500 scholarship fund to a local university. And also another $3,000 donation is to cancer research foundations. And the community service was also another $2,500. So that kind of gave you what this person is doing with his year life, right, in 2023. So let's look at the trend of Harris tax. When we talk about trend, we want to know that, okay, now Harris is under spotlight, and we want to know 2023 because this was just filed right now. But what about 2021, 2022? So in 2021, her income was $400,000, and 2022 was increased by $25,000. And now in 2023 was $450,000, increased by another $25,000. So that increase is very gradual. You can tell that she did not receive some, fortune because she is running, she's a vice president, or because she is running for president, right? So that's kind of, you can kind of see. I know in 2023 nobody knows that would happen because at that time Biden is still on the ticket. So maybe that doesn't speak a lot, but their tax return is public information. We can continue to look at 2024, 2025. So in 2021, Harris' effective federal tax rate was 18.5%, and in 2022, 19%, and 2023, and going up. The effective tax rate tells you one thing. Tells you that the source of income coming out of Harris' tax return are very proportioned. So she didn't have a whole bunch of income but don't need to pay taxes, which you will see on Trump's tax return. $10 million income would not pay taxes. So those are, if that is happening to Harris, then you will see her effective tax rate drop down to 5%. So by looking at these ratios tells you that she didn't have anything extreme to happen for the last 3 years, and her income is very consistent. It's coming from W-2. It's coming from W-2, right? In 2021, Harris donated $20,000 to different organizations, nonprofit, and which increased to $22,000 in year 2022 and $23,000 to year 2023. By just looking at that, what I see about her is that when she make a little bit more and she give more, and she makes more, she give more, you can see that clearly on her tax return. So she actually disclosed 20 years of her tax returns, folks. So let's just pause right here. So this is one candidate we have on the table, and honest with her tax return disclosure, and it's come out. You can see it even before she became president. And she didn't have any excuses to say that I'm getting audited by the IRS, and my thing is too complex and nobody understands what I'm doing, so I'm not giving tax return out. So she didn't have those excuses. Her life is really straightforward and simple. So when she is on the stage talking about, I am here for you, and I don't care what party you belong to, because when I protect people in the courtroom, I just protect you. I don't care where your party divide is. And when she says that I'm here for you, for the middle class people, because she is right here. She is indeed in the middle class. So with that said, I think those messages are sincere, and she knew what she's talking about. And if you ask, okay, Ying, I don't make that kind of money. She is rich. She makes $400,000. Are you kidding? And let's take a look at what Trump has. And maybe after we look at Trump's tax return, and it will, that statement you just want to conclude, maybe not so relevant. All right, so let's overview Trump's tax. So I got this chart for you. So there's a line as 0. It goes up, goes down. So we have 2016, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 listed. So from 17, 18, 19, 20, 20, And that's the presidential years for Trump. So when he was running for election, folks want to see return for 2015, 16, and 14, and he was not willing to give. So he falsely claimed, he lied that he was audited by IRS, so could not release those returns. I remember so clearly, and in that situation, and when I going through that, listening to what he was saying back in the 16th, and I think that was a very legitimate reason. If you're getting audited by IRS, don't complicate the matter. Get that done first before you release your tax return, because IRS may change your tax return so much that it's not even worth to disclose it. So, however, that was not true. IRS still have not audited Trump's return. Trump refused to release his tax return after being elected president in 2017. So Manhattan DA obtained several years of Trump's return in 2021. And the U.S. House Ways and Means Committee released 6 years of his return in late 2022. You notice that the timestamp says that he was no longer the president. So in 2022, 2 years after he left the White House, we just got the return information in the public domain. So this is what I'm showing you, because it's coming, the data source is coming from Ways and Means Committee. So you can see that the only years he did claim some income was on the 18 and 19. So let's look at, I don't want us to forget, Trump is a mature businessman. He knows what he's doing. So earlier in my webinar, I talked about Trump's bankruptcy, right? So these bankruptcy are all Chapter 11s. Chapter 11 bankruptcy allows you continue running the business, but write off or reduce your debt. So investors and the banks are the one will take the blow from it and reduce it. So I listed the 6. The number 7 gives you the estimated Trump write-off from the bankruptcy. So he, in total of these 6 bankruptcy, and I am not making up these numbers because these are the number coming from the documentation disclosed by the Means and Ways Committee. So the estimated Trump wrote-off is about 1.3 to 1.5 billion. I'm talking about billion. So a lot of our small business owners, including myself, I could not visual billions. I can visual millions because we have clients, right? In 200 millions, 5 millions, I understand that. But coming to billion is something that my professional life hasn't really brought me up there to know about billion. But 1.3 billion write-off. So these debt he had is no longer need to be paid back. So effectively restructure these money into his personal gains. So that's a lot of money. That would qualify someone on Forbes list for billionaires, because you can just go through the bankruptcy and start moving money around and bring the millions over somewhere else, then you become billionaire. So I knew how Chapter 11 normally done, because I have been in the federal court to be the expert witness to talk about that client who filed Chapter 11, how they can work it out, how much we needed the bank to give in. So at that particular courtroom, U.S. Bank was the one going to suffer the blow. So they are the one cannot get all the money back and only a portion. So I understand what that Chapter 11 bankruptcy works. So I knew if Trump has 3 billion debts and he can write off partial of that, how big of a partial up to negotiation. I will have to say that Trump has this extreme ability to convince people, to convince the creditor, and it has to be done. And he also have extreme strategy to put you in that corner, and you will have to do it. So with that negotiation skill, as a businessman, he said that in his presidential election back in 2016, he said that those records are business records is when I was a businessman, not when I'm a politician. So he has a point. These are the past business history. It's not his political, life, right? So now, Trump income on 1040 from news outlet called Nightly News. So they summarized it up, so I thought it was good, was easy for me to tell. I did verify 2020. I look at his tax return and I look at the number, I know it's right. So basically, this is the total income that before the standard deduction. So if he has minus total income, you know that the standard deduction, it doesn't matter. So you got a 0 AGI, so you don't pay taxes. If you paid any taxes, you get that money back. So that is what that is. So Trump doesn't need to pay taxes in 2015. Trump doesn't need to pay taxes in 2016. Trump also doesn't need to pay taxes in 2017. In 2018, he did make money. 2019, he did make money, but majority of that income will be used to offset the losses he has from before. So his payment on taxes is very limited. So it's not like he's going to pay 24,000, profit, because the majority of that is going to be reverted back by the losses that he had in the history. So that's why somewhere on the internet you see some people saying that, Trump will never need to pay taxes because he has so much loss on his 1040, so he can always just be free. That is to say that because every year is loss, then even if you have a profit-making year, it will be, majority of it will be offset. So I did pull out the Trump's 1040 2020 for us to see. So you can see this tax return in 2020. This is the last year president year that Trump had. So if you are watching the this webinar on the phone, and you can see that. But I want to point that out to you on the 2A. That's a tax exempt interest. That's 10 million. And the 10 million, this 10 million is tax exempt, means that income tax exempt. Then you also can see that minus number, minus 4 point, I cannot see right here, 4.6. That is the total income, you see. So the total income, the line 9 is a negative number. So if you come on down to taxable income, the last number on the page, that's 0. So he doesn't have any taxable income. So with that, so he got all his money back. So, some of the media reports saying that, Trump got $5 million back. No. Trump actually got everything back. He doesn't pay taxes. And the $5 million is just what he requested to come back to him because he paid estimated tax. He overpaid estimated tax, right? He doesn't know how much loss he's going to generate, so he just pay ahead of time. I think that's a good deed. That is a responsible citizen's behavior, right? To pay estimated tax. Then after you finish your tax return, you don't need to pay anything. So they give him back, and he asked for $5 million back, but pushed away to 2021 for the other $13 million. So he didn't pay any taxes in 2020. Now let's look at Trump business overall, and I want to give you a kind of a bird view of what exactly he has in general. So on the gross income side, Trump reported approximately 78 million in gross income from various sources. Trump has many other businesses, and it is actually online of all of his business filing for 2020. He has 8 other businesses that he filed business tax return between 1065 to 1120S. So in general, that's the overall, and the significant earnings are from foreign countries such as UK, Canada, and China. And on the federal tax side paid, so Trump, despite high gross income, they report net loss of 15 million, so resulted in no taxes to file in 2020. So, you have income, but you also have offsets, so of course you don't pay taxes. The charitable donation, if you remember during the campaign back in 2016, Trump said that he's so wealthy, so he doesn't need salary, so he will donate his president's salary back to, to the country. But the charitable donation side, and Trump reported zero charitable donation in 2020, contrasting sharply from previous years. So in 2017, he did contribute, but not in 2020. And I didn't really spend time to look at 2018 and 19, but they are literally on the website. If you have a hard time to find where the tax returns are, and I will remind my team to post his tax return on our YouTube link so that you can watch this video and click on his tax return. So look at it for yourself. And set that as a goal, right? So you'll be so wealthy and rich, and you're going to be filing the tax return just like President Trump and making your tax return great again. So that's what we're going to do, right? Foreign income. The return reveals that Trump earned substantial income from different foreign countries, including 78 million in gross income from 16 countries in 2020, in 2020 alone is 78 million. And so during his last year presidency time, so this is 2020, so that year alone. And also notably, he made 6.5 million from China during his 2017 in the office. So he made 6.5 million from China. We talk more about 2020 tax return because they have businesses. Trump's income derived from multiple business ventures such as golf course, restaurant, and book royalties. Actually, Trump has all kind of business that even though didn't file bankruptcy but failed, like Trump Steak, Trump Water. I don't think Trump Water was a thing as a business, but it was in Matage in Atlanta. He had made a lot of money from Trump Water in Atlanta. With that, so you know that he's really a venturist, and he do a lot of things. So to get money from all over the place, the Ways and Means, the document they provided also detailed the loans that he made to his children and other financial transactions within his business entities. So he's moving money around and here and there, and of course it's essential. And I can imagine, I don't have any proof, but I can imagine because I didn't spend time to study what exactly was done in the Chapter 11 filing, which is public information as well. So obviously, I can imagine money being moved around, and so that way, for example, in Atlanta Matage casino, and what happened is it filed Chapter 11, but all the supplies that Trump buys for the casino, because they can still running the casino, so it is all went into Trump-related organizations, like buying Trump waters, doing Trump construction, so all of the things are like that. So with that said, it's not necessarily Trump really lose anything. It is just reducing the debt and getting rid of the investors, make money that way. And Trump did say that he was just one of the smart business person, knows how to work within the law and within the confine of allowed tax code manipulation. So as long as IRS did not launch an audit on Trump's taxes, I would consider what he did was not wrong. Am I right? So that giving the factor is I did not really studied what was done because I'm not contracted by IRS to look at his tax return and figure something out. I could if I have the obligation to do so. All right, so charitable contribution. Recall, we talked about that. Recall that he's gonna donate. He didn't, okay? So, but in 2017, that's the first year of his presidency, he did donate 1.8 million. I want to give the credit where it belongs. So we only say that 2020 he didn't donate. And Trump's income sways all over the place. So it is ranging from a deficit of 32.4 million in 2016 to a high of 24.4 million in 2018. So 2016 all the way down, negative 32 million, and 2018, 24 million gain. Trump paid roughly 2 million in taxes in 2018. I actually went to the tax return. I pulled out the amount of the taxes he paid. And you remember, he made $24.4 million in 2018. 2 million taxes means what? So what's the percentage on that, folks? That's like less than 10%, am I right? So how could 24 million is less than 10%? Don't we remember a personal tax return rate is about 37%? In 2018, I think the Job Act didn't kick in yet, so he was paying 39.5% maybe, I think. And so should not be 2 million, should be a lot more. That tells you that in the nature of the earning, whole bunch of them are not needing to pay taxes, just like the 10 million I showed you. Those are income tax-free income. And is that a conflict of interest? That probably would be something I look into if I am the compliance personnel, because how would someone get into these exempted interest revenue generating and with that kind of amount? So one of the example would be municipal bond, like you would buy that, buy the bond to for construction, and then you would get that, and maybe I don't know. I'm imagining that Trump could be the builder, and he could be buying his own, getting several millions and getting some interest free. I'm just, it's speculation. It's not fact. But 2 million in 2018. Well, he has an income of 24.4 taxable income. That is not a ratio that we normally see, don't we? And in 2018, in 2019, so we're talking about the presidential years that he's in. So he paid 460,000 taxes, but in 2020 he paid 0. So that is a day and night difference from the two tax return, because one goes on the very complex side of the tax arena. The other one is so straightforward, clean cut tax return of Harris. So is there a good or bad? No, I think both returns are good. Just the lifestyles, the business they're in are different. So Trump is in the business of creating and generating business. So whether how he write off the taxes, how many bankruptcy he files, and why is he filing bankruptcy and doesn't influence on his presidential election, why is he still showing up like he's really successful and he, he filed so many things and he is having so much losses. Don't ask me why, because I think success can be measured not just by what taxes they file, is actually measured by how they live their life. And if someone you don't know about their tax, they fly in private jet, and they're living in Mar-a-Lago, and they have this, even where they live, if people wants to be a member, they have to pay $1 million for it. Those kind of lifestyle, and it can be viewed as successful. And then to the contrary, and with $400,000 a year AGI, there's a 40-50% of population in our country is having income at that level. So those are normal, everyday folks. So Harris, the one that is our candidate for president, and she is just one of us. She is just ordinary folks, and she probably never thought she would have a Mar-a-Lago kind of space to one desire that. I don't know. If you ask someone like me, I don't even desire to have that. It is so much work. It's so obviously out there. And why that? And I mean, I like to be ordinary, and maybe that is how Harris want to live her life as well. So it's a life choice. It's not exactly, successful or not successful. And the one thing I want to relate it to you, and I know an older couple who lived in a small town, and they live in a house which is so little and ordinary, but in one shot they donated over $3 million to Iowa State University out of a older couple live in that small house. Is $3 million gonna get them a pretty nice mansion? Of course, but people have a choice. People have a choice how to live their life. That's not a judgment of who does well or not, but the judgment on the return, the judgment on the transparency is a judgment. So how willingly do we want to face the world, the public, the American people, say that I am your president and you have my secret? I have no secret. I am here to serve you. So let's make sure you got the message I am trying very hard to deliver, and make your judgment, and do not forget to vote. And you have to vote. Every voice needs to be heard. Even if you felt you don't want to vote because there is none of the candidate is who you wanted, then I would just ask you to vote for that one you can accept better than the other one. Right? Not to vote is irresponsible. To vote is a good citizenship spirit that everyone should have. All right. With that said, I give you the fact and you run with your judgment. And I do want you to know that you can see our partners in our firm and click us, and we will we'll answer your questions and do your quick checkup on your taxes. And I do have now, October 15 is coming closer, so I do have people who are really needing to get their taxes done. They already did it. To give out to other people to do is waste of time, money. They just want a quick review. And if you ever get into that kind of situation, you want to spend $300, $400 to just get your taxes reviewed, but not to have anybody to do it, you can actually tap into two people here on this list. You can book Song's time, and you can book my time. And two of us are pretty cool with taxes, so we can review that, and in that 45 minutes you paid for, and to just give you a okay or not okay. But I can't guarantee you that you're gonna be okay after I review. Maybe after you spend your money, I reviewed it, I'm like, oh yeah, I still have to charge you a couple thousand to do it all over because it's just so messed up. But one thing I can tell you is, if I make you do that, that probably is the right thing to do for you, and you want to have your tax return filed so accurate and comfortable, and you can sleep. There's no need to worry about, oh, IRS audit you or not. It's IRS's choice, right? But what you want to do is to make sure if you get audited, and you can still sleep and knowing that you're doing it just right. That is where we are about. We want our folks to get their taxes done properly, and then you can forget about it and sleep on it because there's nothing to worry. If there is anything that's not clear, and we would already talk to you, we would already fix it. All right, so now after October 15 is our tax planning time. And if you paid too much taxes last year, you were not very happy about it, or if you just felt like too much change happened in your household. Not only you get married, you also just get divorced. Not only you had a newborn, you also adopted a couple kids. I mean, if you get yourself into this kind of stuff, and you should do tax planning. And I'm just giving exaggerated example, but in business, if you started a business, and you should. Some people say that, oh, Ying, I started a business, I lost all the money so far, so I don't need to worry about taxes. I can just file zero for myself. No, you don't want to file zero for yourself because you want to save your loss, just like how Trump saved his loss. So when he made money, the loss comes in, offset his money he made, right? You saw that tax return today we're talking about. So make sure that you understand it is not about you lose money or gain money. The reality is that you should just follow the rule and file your taxes. If you lost money, the loss will be accumulated, waiting for you to get that absorbed, maybe in the current year, maybe in the future years. So we can guide you with that. And you saw the 4 locations we have on the screen. So we do have these locations open, and we have professional folks in the branch. And Des Moines branch and the Minneapolis branch are open on Saturdays. These are 2 bigger branch. So our Coralville branch will open on Saturdays as well, but our Houston branch is not yet ready, even though we're open, is Monday to Friday right now. And last but not least, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Community CPA, and give us a like when you really like us. And like our videos, understand we're here to educate, and we're not debating on opinions, we're just wanting folks to know the fact. And accountants are the kind of professional people are really kind of stuck with data, stuck with fact. We don't make up data. Data is something you give me. So we work with your data. We are respecting the fact. So, make sure you follow us, learn more, so you can do better on your own. We open 6 days a week, like I just mentioned. On Saturday, when you finally be able to take a break, you can give us a call. We can schedule you in for appointments. And if you have topics you really want us to talk about, that Catherine at communitycpa.com, email her, and we will get your desired topic on our list. We will go to it. All right. Good to see you here, and have a very happy rest of the Saturday. And Sunday, have a great Sunday. And don't forget, we're coming into election November 5th. Mark your calendar.